I've been bamboozled. I've been tricked. 6 years in the making, and they finally yanked the lollipop away from the Star Wars fan base. Wow, where do I begin with this one? So that intro pretty much summed up my experience throughout this movie. I'm not gonna lie, I had fun. I had a blast. It was quick-paced. It was filled with action. A pretty decent lightsaber fight found its way into the film. The visuals are some of the best I've seen in cinema, and it was aided alongside a pretty good space battle. I'm not gonna lie, all the flashiness and I hate using this word, but the epic scale of events that took place in the movie kind of caught me off guard. And to be fair, I went into this movie with zero expectations. I switched off my Star Wars fanboy brain. I just went into this like a general audience member looking to at least enjoy myself, because I know for a fact that the broken story from Rian Johnson, there's no fixing it. There's no two ways around it. It's done. It's broken. It's maybe we can end it with something big and flashy, and that's exactly what J.J. Abrams did with this one. Now, as I said, unfortunately Rian Johnson fucked this trilogy in episode 8, and I think some of you may know how I feel about The Last Jedi. I actually made like an hour-long review, an in-depth review on the film a few months ago. If you guys want to check it out, I'll put the links and stuff. So I absolutely hate episode 8, passionately, right? And Rian Johnson, he put J.J. Abrams in such a difficult spot, right? Because originally, I know most of you don't know that it was supposed to be 3 different directors for these 3 movies. I don't know why Kathleen Kennedy made that decision. It's really stupid. Why not just make the same director direct the entire trilogy? I mean, he can at least plan out the story. He can make it into his trilogy, make it his own, rather than someone else coming in and ruining the story, putting in elements that don't make sense, and it's all messy. It's one big mess, right? This new Disney trilogy, it's summed up as just one big mess. There was some retconning, some awfully convenient things, some of the most tropey things you commonly see in cinema. Every character has level 100 plot armor. There was absolutely no suspense, no thrills. You knew that these characters were not gonna die. The entire story for The Rise of Skywalker, without spoiling anything, felt like a trilogy by itself, compressed into a 2.5-hour movie. And ultimately, it felt way too short for what the story was all about. And I don't know why they didn't, extend it to 3 hours. I mean, I wouldn't have minded, because it was quick-paced, it was entertaining. At least give us 3 hours to, sort of linger on some plots a little bit more, stretch it out a bit more. And this is something I've noticed with Disney lately, right? This is one of their weakest elements, right? The runtime. It's the same thing with The Mandalorian. I am absolutely loving that TV show right now, right? But unfortunately, the runtime is way too short. And this is not only a problem for me. You can look at other people's reviews and stuff like that. Everyone has the same complaint. We love the story, we give a shit about the characters, but the runtime is way too short with what story they're telling for each episode. It's just done and done and done and done without, there is no focus on each subplot, and that's so unfortunate. But the difference between The Mandalorian and The Rise of Skywalker is that nobody gives a shit about The Rise of Skywalker, and everyone cares about the story for The Mandalorian. So Disney, enough with the movies. Focus on your TV shows, right? Put your budget, put your best writers on just the TV shows for now. Maybe in the future, go back to making movies. Who knows? But for now, TV shows, right? So if you guys are like me and you were avoiding all sorts of spoilers and trailers and whatnot, so the opening crawl, the traditional opening crawl as you see in every Star Wars film, it essentially spoiled quite a bit of the movie, and that was quite lazy. I mean, that was one of the worst opening crawls I've seen. It's lazy, it's half-assed, but at the end of the day, I can't really put all the blame on J.J. Abrams. This goes way back to Kathleen Kennedy and her incompetence, hiring Rian Johnson and then firing the other director, forgot his name, and then rehiring J.J. Abrams. Kathleen, you gotta stop with this BS. I was just wondering, had she kept JJ for the entire trilogy from the get-go, I think we could have had a better wrap-up. I don't know, but the thing is, even at the end of this trilogy, I'm not buying into the fact that Rey is supposed to be this new Luke. I mean, the way she's portrayed in this movie, holy shit. This really isn't a spoiler, but remember how overpowered she was in The Last Jedi? You're gonna be in for a surprise in this movie. She is like God level. I'm telling you, she is unstoppable in this film, right? And they do have something to back it up, but it's such a weak plot point, it's such a weak reveal that I'm not really buying into that. So you guys are just gonna have to, go into this film and experience the overpoweredness for yourself. The interesting thing is that JJ kept convincing us that they've always planned out, bringing back the Emperor in this trilogy, but nobody's buying into that bullshit. Like, don't even try us. We know for a fact this was introduced only after The Last Jedi. I mean, if you were planning to bring back the Emperor, you would have definitely put bits and pieces, a little bit of a tease, probably in The Force Awakens, and then a little more in The Last Jedi, and then we would have some sort of context as to whether the Emperor is coming back. But no, you didn't do that. You just went for it in episode 9 because unfortunately this stupid potato ruined the trilogy. He fucked the trilogy, right? I mean, The Force Awakens was a pretty decent foundation. I really enjoyed that. I was excited after that film for what was coming next, but after The Last Jedi, I kind of gave up on Disney Star Wars. It's the same thing as you writing your essay. You plan out, you write your points, and then you construct the whole essay. It makes more sense, doesn't it? Right? Despite being one of the messiest Star Wars films, I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the most entertaining one I've seen. And in this trilogy, I think this is my favorite one. If let's say they have all three Star Wars films on Netflix, which one am I going to watch? I'm going to immediately pick The Rise of Skywalker because there's a ton of action, it's quick paced, it's flashy, the visuals are absolutely stunning, and it's not The Last Jedi. So yeah, Rise of Skywalker. So as a conclusion, if you're a Star Wars fan, you're probably not gonna like it, but if you're a general audience member, maybe if you've seen a few movies here and there and you're just curious about what they're doing for the final film, I definitely recommend that you guys check it out. You will enjoy yourself, because just to give you guys some context, I went with two other friends. One of them, he was a super fan of Star Wars, and the other one, she's just one of those people that seen movies from time to time. She's a normie, right? A normie. So obviously the Star Wars fan, he didn't like it, but my other friend, she really enjoyed herself, and me, I was really in the middle because I hated the story. The story itself, it's messy, it is all over the place, it's discombobulated, it gets an F for story, but in terms of entertainment value, an A. That's my opinion, right? And to me, the two most important things that a movie should and have to do is, first of all, entertain the audience. Secondly, engage the audience with the story, the characters, and all that good stuff, right? And with The Rise of Skywalker, they failed on the engagement, but they succeeded with the entertainment. So yeah, it's a good time, but you're gonna forget about the movie in a few days. It's definitely disappointing, but yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say without spoiling anything. because it's really difficult to talk about this film without spoiling stuff. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching, and may the force be with you.